Hello gentlemen, Sulli-Days here, and welcome to some more of Happy Sulli-Days. If you've seen my top 10 Christmas specials video from last year, you may know that I have said that the Rankin specials are one of my favorites. And now, I am going over my favorite Rankin specials in this video. They are the most memorable, the most fun, and the most interesting I watch every Christmas season. So let's get started with a top 10 list of my top 10 favorite Rankin Christmas specials. Number 10. The Leprechaun's Christmas Gold. Ever thought about a St. Patrick's Day Christmas? Well, this one does show it, despite not being on St. Patrick's Day. Yet it is an enjoyable and underrated special that is worth watching. A cabin boy named Diddy Doyle was told to get a tree for Christmas on an island far off Ireland. But by removing the tree on the beach, Diddy unleashes a banshee named Old Mag the Hag, who's been trying to steal gold from the leprechauns. Then a leprechaun named Barney Killer Killarney, voiced by Art Carney, saves Diddy from Mag and tells the story of the leprechaun's gold, how Mag tries to take the gold, the other leprechauns and what they do, and how the island was once part of Ireland. What's interesting about this special is all of its Irish feel throughout, with its songs and settings and characters, and mostly being upbeat. Sometimes the songs are kind of memorable, yet they are sort of catchy. The characters aren't very defined, but they're so lively with their attitudes and sometimes giddy nature. And even the animation is quite likable too. There's lots of fun to be had with this special, but there's also plenty of sweetness too. And whether or not you're Irish, it's still a good special to get in the Celtic mood, especially around the Christmas season. It's all about the green and the gold during a time all about the red and the green. It's one special that definitely needs attention, and I have already given it. Number 9. Nestor the Long-Eared Christmas Donkey. Other than the Little Drummer Boy, Rankin did a couple other specials related to the first Christmas, and this is one of them. And it is such a cute and pleasant special. Based on the very underrated song by Dave Burgess, Gene Autry, and Don Priffner, Roger Miller voices as Santa's donkey named Sputo, who tells the story of his ancestor named Nestor, who was born with long ears and was mocked because of them. But his owner throws him out when he fails to sell him, and Nestor's mother kept him warm in the cold, but unfortunately dies in saving him. Soon Nestor comes across a cherub named Tilly, who tells him that he has to go to Bethlehem, and to continue on would give away the ending, yet is pretty easy to figure out. It's such a cute little special with nods to Rudolph and even Bambi and Dumbo for that matter. If you think about them. This one's even a different take on the first Christmas, although that's kind of debatable considering that Don Bluth did a first Christmas story with a different type of donkey, yet ends up the same way. But aside from that, this special is cute and enjoyable. It does bring out some sad moments, but it also has some happy moments too. It's just a good special with a good song rendition and nods to other animated animal characters. And a good first Christmas story too. Number 8. Rudolph's Shiny New Year. This is more of a New Year special rather than a Christmas special, although the 4th of July is also in it, but this is no Here Comes Peter Cottontail. Yet, it's a pretty likable and sweet special as a sequel to Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer. Red Skelton voices Father Time, who tells the story of when the baby New Year, named Happy, had run away due to the people laughing at his big ears, and traveled to the archipelagos of last years, where Rudolph sets off to find him before the old year ends. And he teams up with several other characters to help him, while avoiding a giant vulture named Eon the Terrible, who is also on the lookout for Happy. The special itself would be kind of dated based on the time it came out, yet its characters, songs, and charming cute feel makes it hold up. And I do find Rudolph's design in this to be more cuter than in his first appearance. And the new characters are very good and even pretty funny. And the story itself is kind of a time-traveling tale, but in a different way. For Rudolph travels from island to island that each represent a certain time period, and where he got most of his new friends, like OM, short for 1 million, 10 to 3, and 1776. Odd choice of names. But for how it all is, it's still a wonderful little special, mixing time traveling and really good characters and good songs that's all about New Year's, but with little holiday touches as well. It may be a dated special, but it still holds up for all to see. Number 7. Frosty's Winter Wonderland. As a sequel to Frosty the Snowman, it's such a delightful one, trying to be very much like the original, and it still works out. Narrated by Andy Griffith, the kids are sad that they miss Frosty and want him to come back, and when he does, he has a fun time with them until the kids went back home. With Frosty feeling alone, the kids help by building a snow woman they call Crystal, who soon comes to life, and the two, very quickly, decide to get married. But Jack Frost is jealous of Frosty for taking over the winter fun for kids, and tries to stop him. On the one hand, it's not an exact sequel to the original, since Frosty's a different design and the kids are all new. But the charm and likability of the first is still there, and with Jackie Vernon reprising the role, it's still as lovable as any. Though it is kind of silly that Frosty and Crystal decide to get married just after meeting each other, and one shot of Andy Griffith just makes me giggle. But those are very minor complaints to an otherwise charming little special. And it has good characters, and good renditions of Frosty the Snowman and Winter Wonderland. It may not be like the first special, but it certainly feels like it. Number 6. The Little Drummer Boy. Rankin Bass's first special to focus on a story related to the first Christmas, and it still works out with its good characters, songs, and animation. Based on a song by Harry Simon, K.K. Davis, and Henry R. Ritchie, Greer Garza narrates the story of the drummer boy named Aaron, who lost his parents after a couple of bandits burned down his home. And while traveling with his lamb Baba, his camel Joshua, and his donkey Samson, two traveling performers named Ben Harriman and Ali take him to be a part of their show, despite Aaron's hatred of people for taking his family. But after failing in Jerusalem, they meet the three wise men, who are about to leave and trade Aaron's camel for a stack of money, leaving Ben and Ali with riches, and Aaron sets off to get Joshua. And much like Nestor, I won't go any further, but I think you know what's coming. However, much like Nestor, there is such a cute feel to it. But it's more fun than Nestor, with the comedy coming from Ben and Ali. Even the songs, though very few, are quite good. When the Goose is Hanging High, Why Can't the Animal Smile, and The Little Drummer Boy itself by the Vienna Boys Choir. But it is also a sweet story about trust and how it can lead to a good resolution. Very rare for a Rankin Bass production. To give out a certain moral, that is. Sometimes the animation isn't all that great, but its comedy and characters makes it all worth watching, and it sometimes makes it funny too. It's certainly an endearing special, and one that will not be leaving anytime soon. Number 5. Santa Claus is Coming to Town. This one's a good special as always. It has lots of fun characters and plenty of good songs, and a different take on the origins of Santa. Based on the song by John Frederick Coots and Haven Gillespie, Fred Astaire voices S.D. Kluger as he tells the story of Santa Claus. When the mayor of Sombertown, Burgermeister Meisterburger, refuses to take in a baby, the little child is taken away in a big snowstorm, until the animals rescue him and take him to the Kringle Elves, where they raise the baby and grows up into the man named Kris Kringle. And Kris helps the elves by delivering the toys to Sombertown, just as Burgermeister makes a law to forbid toys, since he tripped over one. But with the help of a schoolteacher named Miss Jessica, a penguin Kris named Topper, and a reformed warlock named Mr. Winter Warlock, they tried to get the Kringle toys to the children of Sombertown, without Burgermeister knowing it. As an origin story for Santa, it's rare for one to show him as a young man. The Life and Adventures of Santa Claus did this too, but not quite as good as this. And the late Mickey Rooney does a really good job voicing him with such a positive attitude. And all the other characters worked out in their own special way. And the songs are quite enjoyable and pretty catchy. There's lots of funny moments with the Burgermeister, and the children's voices coming from the letters makes it feel like the kids of every generation is listening to the story. And with a really good rendition of the title song by Fred Astaire, as well as lots of fun animation and characters, this special is fantastic and delightful, as any Rankin Bass special would be. Number 4. The Year Without a Santa Claus. While Rudolph and Frosty were huge classics, this one surprisingly happens to be among one of Rankin Bass's big specials, despite coming out after the original classics. But it's still memorable and engaging with its really good characters, songs, and animation. Based on the book by Phyllis McGillen, Shirley Booth voices Mrs. Claus as she tells the story of when Santa feels ill and thinks no one has the Christmas spirit. But Mrs. Claus tries to prove him wrong by sending two elves named Jingle and Jangle to search for those who still believe. And in a town called Southtown, the two meet a boy named Iggy Thistlewhite, who would be a big help to them. But certain problems get in the way, like Vixen getting sick and the Miser brothers' snow and heat in constant battle with each other. It's rare for any Rankin Bass special after the originals to hit big time, but this is one, mostly due to the Miser brothers, who would go on to star in the sequel, A Miser Brothers Christmas, decades later, and unfortunately in the live-action remake as well. And yes, the Miser brothers have great song numbers and whatnot, but everything else is just as good, with many fun song sequences, even one that gets me teary-eyed, and other really good characters in funny and sometimes sweet situations. What else is there to say about this special? It's such a lovely special with memorable characters, really good songs, and fun animation. This is certainly one special that is far from being unforgettable. Number 3. 'Twas the Night Before Christmas. While most Rankin Bass specials are based on songs and stories, this one's based on a poem, which doesn't occur until the end, but everything else before it is really something special, and nothing else like it. Based on the poem by Clement C. Moore, Father Mouse tells the story of how a town called Junctionville received letters that were addressed to Santa, but were rejected due to a newspaper article written by his son named with that one flaw that's sort of major. But taking that part out, the rest of it, and in many respects the whole thing, it still is charming and engaging. With plenty of enjoyable characters, good animation, and fun songs, this is a special that is quite underrated, and one that I cherish every year I watch it. Number 2. Frosty the Snowman. Definitely a classic in its own right. This has fun animation, great characters, and a great rendition of the title song. Based on the song by Jack Rowlands and Steve Nielsen, Jimmy Durante tells about how a magician named Professor Hickle loses his hat to a group of kids who use it for their snowman they named Frosty. But the hat's magic brings Frosty to life, which causes Hickle to try to get it back, as Frosty, one of the kids named Karen, and Hickle's rabbit, Hocus Pocus, try to get to the North Pole before Frosty melts away. Everything about the special is lovable and funny, from Hickle's mishaps, to Frosty's curiosity, to the police officer's reaction, to the ticket salesman rummaging through the tickets. The characters are pretty good too, especially Frosty, for being such an innocent, yet small-minded fellow, like Winnie the Pooh. His design is more simple than the other version, and again like Pooh, Jackie Vernon voices him with such warmth and affection that makes him very lovable. Mix him in with funny animation and other fun characters, as well as a great rendition of the title song by Jimmy Durante, and you got a really great special for the Christmas season. It has its sad moments, happy moments, and funny moments. There's nothing much else to say except that it's a very fun special with a very fun cast of characters. And my number 1 favorite Rankin Bass Christmas special is, say it with me, Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer. Yes, I know it's very predictable, but who doesn't love this special? It's Rankin Bass's first special and it's still a classic. Filled with fun characters, great songs, and cute animation. Not that cute! Based on the story by Robert L. Mays and the song by Johnny Marks, Burl Ives voices Sam the Snowman as he tells the story of Rudolph. Born with a glowing red nose, Rudolph's father Donner tries to keep his son's nose hidden so he can be chosen to pull Santa's sleigh. But during the reindeer games, Rudolph's real nose is revealed, having him to be mocked and disqualified from the games. Eventually, Rudolph meets an elf named Hermie who wants to be a dentist, and a prospector named Yukon Cornelius who is in search of silver and gold. And the three leave to the island of Misfit Toys, where they promise to tell Santa about the inhabitants, while trying to steer clear of the unbottable snow monster, or Bumble in this case. There was such a wonder to behold with this. It's really unforgettable in its presentation, and has lots of memorable moments. And while the Bumble did scare me as a kid, I've gotten used to it. But it's not only a cute special, it's also fun, funny, engaging, charming, and very lovable. With songs written by Johnny Marks, tons of great characters, and animation that is choppy but likable, how can you go wrong? There isn't very much to say about the special, except that it's charming and quite cute. And it's these reasons and plenty more that make Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer my favorite Rankin Bass Christmas special. And that is it. So thank you for joining me. Like, comment, subscribe. Follow me on Facebook or Twitter. And tune in next Wednesday for more of Happy Sulli-Days.